Hey guys, welcome to Tablenauts, and today we have a special review for you of a campaign game Emily and I have played the entirety of. We've seen every single bit of this game except for the expansion that actually just came out this year. We might have to get into that at some point. But of course, we're talking about the Plaid Hat game Stuffed Fables. This is from the mind of Jerry Hawthorne. It's the second of those games that I've played. I think it's the first that you've played all the way through. But other games are Mice and Mystics, Aftermath, which is the one right after this, and then Familiar Tales.
Tales we just got.
You and a group of people will play cooperatively through a campaign that will typically be something incredibly cute. And
it's adorable.
It's something
all
absolutely.
Of them.
This one is. I don't want to get into it too much, like likes and dislikes just yet, but this is one of the cutest games I've ever seen in my life. Getting into the plot a little bit to kind of maybe reel you in, because this is what reeled me in. Emily, explain what we play.
Okay, so basically we are playing as stuffed animals, and we are trying to protect our little girl that is our owner, or that we live with.
While she's sleeping, dream monsters will come after her, and your responsibility as a stuffed animal, a stuffy owned by this little girl, is to defend her, to go on adventures and try to find out, like, in this dream world, what is the cause of these monsters, what's going on. And it all is really neat because by the end of each story, you're learning a little bit about what the girl's going through, right? So like the first episode, I think, is called The Big Girl Bed. And like the terrors of moving from the crib to the big girl bed. There's one about getting potty trained. And in that level, you're going through a bunch of water areas. And it's really neat and really well done in that sense. I think that's a pretty cool part. But the way it's played is through dice manipulation. It's through pulling them out of the bag and using them accordingly.
To the colors.
Yeah, and there'll be maps on this not pop-up book, but this book that you'll flip through. Think Jaws of the Lion, Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, and a couple other games have done this. I love this because you don't have to waste a lot of time building a map.
Oh yeah, it's a storybook. You just flip through and the map's already there. You just put your characters down and you go. Yeah,
it has everything labeled where you have to assign like maybe items or enemies or anything like that.
And it's like storytelling. So on the side it'll have, the story that you read that goes along with it.
And decisions that you might have to make along the way that will affect the story. I mean, there are certain pages that you and I never saw because we decided to go one way or the other.
Right.
And I thought that was really neat. It was like a choose your own adventure book, so to speak, that you're going through. One last thing, the characters are incredibly cute.
They're adorable.
Emily and I chose our characters at the very, very beginning. I was Flops, which was a bunny character who
I have him right here.
Yeah, who has a bow. His definitely leans towards agility. So like all of his abilities. This is not necessarily an completely asymmetric game. The characters all can do similar things, but they do have special powers. So mine was really good at jumping. It was really good at dodging. She was really good at making green. Any type of green skill test. Emily, what was your character's name?
My character was Lumpy, and he's an elephant, and he's got this little meat mallet, and he's so cute. And then after the game, Doolin made me my own Lumpy.
Yeah, so one of my biggest complaints with this game is that there aren't stuffed animals that you can just buy, like Plaid Hat. What the heck is this? So I decided just to make Emily her own Lumpy.
So here's the little Lumpy. He's got his meat mallet, and then Doolin, he got this little t-shirt and put on this elephant with the meat mallet and made me a Lumpy for our game room, and I thought it was cute.
Do you remember what Lumpy was good at?
He was good at blue skill tests, I believe, and he was good at like melee.
Yeah, and defense
and
especially.
Defense, yeah.
Your character could take a hit really, really well, which was. We blended well. We didn't have any character that was like all-out offense, but we definitely had characters that could dodge and take hits. So that was nice. But enough about like how we play. What are our thoughts? So we want to get into maybe our favorite thing, and then on top of that, maybe something that we didn't necessarily like, and then we'll get into who we think this game is for. So to start things off, Emily,
Yeah.
do you have a favorite thing that you want to talk about this game?
Okay, I was gonna say my favorite thing. I really like the artwork. It's really beautiful. It's really cute. It's super well done. Just the theme is really awesome and it's super adorable, I think. But I really like the dice and how you pull them out of the bag. And you do things based on what colors you got.
I decided to pull Nacho up.
Okay.
To say hi.
Hi.
Hey, buddy. You want to say hi to the camera? Oh, thank you for the kiss. I appreciate it. No, I think the art is incredible, right?
Yeah.
And it always typically is. In Plaid Hat games, it's really colorful.
And just the storytelling, too, is really well done.
Yeah.
It's really descriptive. It's really vivid imagery. It's really beautiful, too.
To tag onto that, I think that the element of choices that you're given are really cool. And they're really fulfilling, too. In a way that, like, you're not making, like, do I save this person or that person in, like, maybe some heavier storytelling or, like, meant for maybe more adult storytelling. But this is, like, incredibly cute. There are times where like you'll get the chance to save animals that you just find on a page, and the other player that we're playing with, like, so Emily would pick up, if I stopped on these spots, would pick up a card and read it, and it would typically require some type of sacrifice from me, but the benefit would either be I get this heart that I can use on a special move later, or I get this doll will show up later in the story at some point and save you, or nothing could happen at all. And I like that because it means that you're not only being nice to get something, it means that you have to choose to sometimes just be nice for the sake of being nice, and I like that.
Something else I really liked about this game, at the end of each chapter, it gives like a little synopsis kind of thing, but it gives talking points, and they're actual like life lessons that you can apply in your actual life that are actually deep, like really good lessons. And I was like, wow, I'm learning so much about life from this game.
Which brings me a bit to, like, we're going to get into who's it for, but I definitely think that this game is very accessible.
Oh.
That might be my favorite thing.
That's another thing that I wanted to point out. So I've kind of dabbled very basic, like with like Pathfinder or D&D or stuff like that. And I don't really know what I'm doing with that. I've only played a handful of times, but this game, it's kind of like
so the idea of like role play, it definitely has. I think this is a great starting out point.
And so for me, this really helped me understand D&D and Pathfinder better, and helped me because of the campaign style and because of the dice rolling. And
great point.
So that makes other games more accessible for me. It was kind of a starting point for me. So
absolutely. So. We've gushed about it a little bit. We love this game, but what do we think that they could improve?
Okay, so this is gonna sound really silly because it's like conflicting with what I just said earlier.
No, it's okay. So you can like and dislike something.
So I know that I said that I really like the dice component, how you draw them out and you have the different colors and you can use them to do the skill tests and like move and, you know, attack and do ranged weapons or melee weapons or whatever. But if you pull out certain colors, there's really nothing that you could do. So I had several turns that I would just pull out dice and be like, okay, well, I can't do anything. And then it was just like a wasted turn. There is one color dice that I think is super lame until it becomes really helpful, which is white dice. White dice are pulled out, and a lot of dice can be used for any basic action like moving or but white dice you have to roll immediately, and they're only helpful to heal. To get stuffing back.
So if you're not hurt, like at the very beginning of the game, or beginning of a level, or you're already full health, you pull them out, and then they took up some of your turn, which is not all that great. I don't know how you would have done that differently, but it definitely was a hindrance, I think, to some degree. I don't think it was too bad.
No. Because again, I said the dice was my favorite part, and the dice is my least favorite part.
And there were a couple of times where we played with the idea of, but again, this game I don't think is very difficult, so we didn't do this. But we played with the idea of, and you could do this too, where white dice can be used to move. And we thought about doing that before.
But we didn't.
But we did not.
We didn't.
That would be a you call type of thing. And I wouldn't think that it would change much of the game. I think it would make it just go a little bit faster. It would maybe give you more of an advantage, but that's okay. My least favorite thing about this game might be that if I'm comparing it, because this is just the nature, right? If I'm comparing it to Mice and Mystics, which is one of my favorite games of all time, unfortunately, I think that the combat is just a little less than I would like for it to be. I think the combat is better in Mice and Mystics. And that is not something that holds it back, in my opinion, because I still think this game is great. But if you are just coming from playing that game and you really, really like the combat system, or you really, really like the way that you fight and move, this is completely different. They change a lot in this.
And I haven't played Mice and Mystics, but I have played Familiar Tales. We've played a little bit of that one. And even like the way you move with the dice in this game is different from Familiar Tales. You're like playing with cards, and it's more of like a deck
building. But again, not much that I would say that I dislike. I think that the levels are incredibly quick. Like you don't have to wait forever to get to the end of one. I don't know. I love a lot of it.
This is a game that I naturally, like, legitimately really liked and like wanted to come home and play and be like, hey, can we play Stuffed Fables? And that's normally not me. I'm normally not the one that's like, hey, let's go play this game. She keeps saying that,
but the initiative was that way.
The initiative was that way.
She finds one and attaches to it.
And they're campaign games.
Yeah, you're a campaigner.
Who knew? I didn't.
One other thing, and this goes directly into our final thought, which is, who is this game for? I don't think that this game is going to be a hit with you if you are more into heavy style games and your group is used to games like Gloomhaven or really, really like Tainted Grail, higher, more difficult, grittier campaign style games. This is very light, very just like kind of luck based when it comes to whether or not you're going to get a roll that you need. But its main focus is bringing a group together to experience a cute story. Yeah. Kind of like sitting down and
life lessons.
Exactly. So if you're into that at all, which brings me to my first point, if you are looking for a game that you could potentially play with your elementary kids and you want to get them into a campaign style game.
I think they would like it, and I think they would even think the art and the stuffies are cute.
Oh, absolutely. And on top of that, I think that all you would have to do is make sure that you control some of the harder things, like making sure that they know what they need to do on the map. Like, what is your goal? And then on top of that, obviously reading the paragraphs upon paragraphs on the side. But if you're in the habit of reading to your kid every night,
oh yeah, it's a good story.
This is a great story. Do you have any other thoughts on who this is for?
I would just say again, like, I am like a beginner when it comes to like Pathfinder, D&D, or anything like that, and so I think it's a really good like bridge between those two, like trying to figure out like the basics of those type of games with the dice rolling and
you want to do X thing. Okay, you need to use this dice to do that thing. Okay, now we have a choice between saving these two things or going to this path or this path. Yeah, absolutely. It's the bare bones of an RPG, and it's a great welcoming opportunity to try that out.
For beginners like me.
So, if this interested you at all, we highly encourage, as two people who love this game, to check out Stuffed Fables from Plaid Hat by Jerry Hawthorne. Again, I'm a huge fan of Mice and Mystics already. I think this definitely is staying in our collection for now, because we'll probably try to get the Oh Brother expansion and play that at some point. But until then, we'll see you guys next time. Have a great week and weekend, especially if you're at Gen Con right now. See y'all.